Today we're going to see exponential functions. Here we can see that y equals a to the x, where a is a constant. Our original key point will always be 0, 1. So, let's have an example. Y equals 2 to the x minus 5. So, we start on our key point, which is 0, 1, and we are going to translate 5 units to the right. So 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And our key point will be 5, 1. Then we can use a table of values to know the next point. So let's say our next value will be 6. So 2 to the 6 minus 5 equals 2 to the 1. So our next point will be 6 to the second. And this is our graph. To see an example where the x is negative. For example, 5 to the negative x plus 3 minus 2. This minus 2 shows our asymptote. So our asymptote will be y equals negative 2. Now, as the x is negative, our key point will be 0, negative 1, and we're going to translate 3 units to the right. So 1, 2, and 3. And our key point is 3, negative 1. Now, to show our next point of the graph, we're going to use a table of values. So 5 to the negative 2 plus 3 minus 2 equals 5 minus 2 equals 3. So our next point in the graph will be 2, 3, and this is our graph. So the domain is from minus infinity to infinity, and the range is from minus 2 to infinity.
The Chernobyl nuclear power plant is located in Ukraine. There were 4 working reactors in April 1986. The Chernobyl disaster was a unique event and the only accident in the history of commercial nuclear power where radiation fatalities occur. At Chernobyl, the electricity to run the water pumps comes from its turbines, which in turn are powered by the reactor. It's a perpetual cycle of energy production, but if something goes wrong, it could lead to a nuclear disaster, as said in the video Seconds from Disaster Meltdown at Chernobyl. The accident occurred during an experiment to test a way of cooling the core of the reactor in an emergency situation. The Chernobyl accident was a result of a flawed reactor design that was operated with inadequately trained personnel.
Some of the consequences of the Chernobyl disaster was that 2 Chernobyl plant workers died the same night the accident happened, and a few weeks later, at least 28 people died. People were exposed to the radiation of the explosion, leading to a series of diseases like leukemia and some types of cancer. The environment got affected in some areas of Europe, like Russia and Belarus. Urban areas were contaminated and evacuated right after the accident. The Commonwealth of Independent States is spending a lot of resources and money to deal with the high contaminated areas and the radiation. A toxic cloud spread through Asia and the United States. The population of refugees per country or territory of asylum in Turkey is getting greater. The refugees is especially from the country of Syria, due to the war that the country is facing. The number of refugees had increased dramatically in the past few years. For example, in 2011, there were 14,465 refugees, and in 2014 increased to 1,587,300 174 persons. This is an example of exponential growth. The total population of Bulgaria decreased because the government has to tackle the issue of high concentration of investment and sources in certain regions at the expense of others, discuss regional inequality causing poverty and death in certain regions. For example, in 1988 the population was 8,981,446. And in 2000 was 8,170,172. This shows an exponential decrease.